big bullet coming. Oh, there we go.
You do this another time.
This has to happen now.
And I've got to say, in all honesty, it's the biggest piece of dog shit.
Welcome back to another N-Cut movie review. Today we have Borderlands, and the curse of video game adaptations lives on.
As Josh referenced to in the title, you don't make video game adaptations as movies. When are these companies ever going to learn this shit? Big Hollywood production companies, they just lose all that beautifulness that makes the game what it is. Me and Josh aren't familiar with the games, so we are completely coming at this from just a movie standpoint. Now, the plot of this movie stars around Lilith, and she is a bounty hunter, and she is tasked with rescuing Atlas's daughter, which is a company that pretty much runs the whole world, and Tiny Tina is the daughter, and we find out that Tiny Tina has some sort of special powers, and she's able to open up this vault, which is on a planet called Pandora.
Rip-off of goddamn Avatar.
Which one was first, though? I think Borderlands was.
2009, this one came out. When was Avatar?
First game, 2009.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
Avatar was 2009?
Yeah.
What month?
If anyone in the comments can tell us who ripped off who between Avatar and Borderlands, we'd love to know, because we think one of them ripped off the other. The rest of the team rounds out with Kevin Hart playing Roland, who is like a double-crossing military man who used to work for Atlas. We have Jack Black in voice only as Claptrap. The best part of the movie, the man pretty much held up the whole movie on his own shoulders. Like, it's good because it wasn't his acting, which is probably what helped it, but the fact that he's voicing it was hilarious. Now, if you keep up at all with any sort of news or social media news or whatnot, you'll know that as soon as this movie was released, it was panned. From the get-go in this film, you can sort of see why. Coming from it as guys who haven't played the games and are just looking at this purely as a movie standpoint, the movie is really, really badly done. It's almost as if they purely made this first opening 20 to 25 minutes just for her character to explain that she's actually in the Borderlands world. It's like, we know you are in the Borderlands world. The movie's called Borderlands. You don't need to show us all this sort of stuff. That sort of just continues in the plot being completely thin in this movie. Like, Kevin Hart's acting, I mean, he's not everyone's cup of tea. It's fair enough because, you know, it's Kevin Hart. But in this movie, he was just Kevin Hart. He wasn't even acting. It's like he just rocked up and was like, I'm getting paid for this. I'm just going to be myself. He didn't seem like at all in this movie that he cared. And from the get-go in this movie, it felt like it had been chopped up, reshot, redone. They might have done like a rough draft, realized the movie wasn't great, so they went back and reshot a bunch of it, which we found out that they did in 2 years after the movie finished wrapping originally. So whenever you hear about that with movies, you know it's going to be in trouble.
You're goddamn right.
Cate Blanchett's character development was the most mildest thing I've ever seen. If you want to make her character be a good person and love whoever the fuck she's around, that's fine. But you need to preface some sort of reason to why she's doing that. You can't make her cold and heartless and then all of a sudden now she's, you know, Jesus' second coming. It kind of really doesn't make any sense to just switch her character a full 180 with no preface of why. If you've played the games, you might understand why, but you already are subject to that knowledge. We have no idea. So as just watching the movie for what it was giving you as a plot, it doesn't make any fucking sense.
You know, what the hell is, you know, it doesn't make any sense what you said.
In the opening scene, when they're explaining, as Geordie's already prefaced, where they kind of just tell you basically where they need to go. But during that, the acting from the background characters was so noticeable. It just took my eye away from what the actual story was progressing with, because the other people were taking a leaf out of Brie Larson's book and just mogging the fucking shit out of me the whole goddamn time. Why are they staring and brooding like they've never acted before in their life? Did they just pull these people off the fucking street and said, guys, there's some homeless guys sitting down the street. We kind of need them for extras. We'll just put them in, CGI their face on. All of a sudden, they got a job. It was the most bullshit thing I've ever seen. Why is this film even being made because of that alone? Kind of kills it for me.
It was honestly some of the most stale dialogue I've ever seen. Yet Cate Blanchett was trying to come at it from this sort of like serious acting quips sort of side of her, which obviously that's what she is. And this dialogue that she had in the opening scene, like, I kid you not, the first 10-15 minutes of this movie, throw it away. Just cut it out. We didn't even need any of it. Like, it opens up with Kevin Hart saving this little girl, and we just don't give a shit about who this girl is, who Kevin Hart is, and then it cuts to Cate Blanchett in this just throwaway scene, all to set her up going to this planet Pandora, and it's like, just start the fucking movie on Pandora, and she's like, I've got a contract, I've got to go find this girl. The first 20 minutes of this movie, cutting room floor, please, leave it there forever and ever to burn and die, because it started and you're just like, I'm already bored. And then from then on, you're sort of on the defense because you're like, well, this movie is just shit. Not even Cate Blanchett wanted to fucking have dialogue. She's like, why am I talking to this bartender? And then she just like shoots these two guys. She doesn't kill this third guy. She's like, oh, I won't kill you because like I'll leave you alive. You're a nice guy or something. It's like, well, you just killed the other two in cold blood. Who cares?
It's almost like Cate Blanchett just improv that scene. It's like she didn't care, right?
Yes.
Yeah. She was the only one taking this movie seriously, it seems to be.
And it was meant to set up this sort of like Outback style, futuristic Cowboys v Aliens type business. But then she was trying to find something in this character that just wasn't there because it's a fucking a movie about a game. I mean, how deep are the Borderlands games? They can't be that deep. It felt like Kevin Hart and Cate Blanchett were here for a paycheck. I hate to say it. I love those two actors, but like, it was just Kevin Hart. It was Kevin Hart out there. Like, he wasn't even acting, so...
And he's got about as range as his height does.
Yes.
So, like, this guy can't really act too far. The only thing I've seen him go somewhat deep in is the true detective thing that he's done with Wesley Snipes. That's the only thing I've seen him kind of reach for some type of acting ability. But in everything you see him, he plays the funny dude who's kind of like the action hero. And that's exactly what he plays in here. It's nothing new. You won't find it interesting that he's even in this film. Other than that, he doesn't do anything.
He also has about 20 lines of dialogue. He's not even in the movie half the time.
And he's trying to fix a fucking car that doesn't work. I don't know.
I mean...
One thing I have to mention in this whole film is the CGI. Like, it literally Shark Boy and Lava Girl quality. That's exactly what it is. It is the worst CGI I've ever seen. Yep. It literally looks like it was filmed back in 2000. How long was this movie in production for?
Agreed.
Was it in for 23 years? You should be able to make a good movie in 23 years. But if they're also reshooting and stuff like that, you know it's going to be shit.
That's the kryptonite of any Hollywood budget movie, any movie in Hollywood. As soon as you see reshoots, or they did a screen test for a movie and the crowd didn't like it, and then they're like, oh, we're going to go back and reshoot, you know the movie's going to be bad. This movie almost shouldn't have been released. Or it should have been a TV show, which is what we say so much now about these goddamn Hollywood movies, because TV has become such a huge production, episodes are pretty much whole movies themselves. But you have 7-8 games worth of lore and knowledge in this series, and then you try and make one movie out of it. No. And
it wasn't even like a movie that's going to be 4 hours long, which you could understand. Or 2 parts or something. Do something like that. Nowhere even near. But we've seen, I guess, as precedent for Rebel Moon, they do 2 parts. It just gets worse when you keep watching them. Actually,
this pretty much was Rebel Moon. I actually watched bits of this movie and was like, it's on the same production value as Rebel Moon. Honestly, Rebel Moon was way better production value than this movie, and that's saying something. That's like, Rebel Moon is our fucking most hated movie ever. General Bad Shit Haircut was in this movie again.
Yes.
And it is the #1 haircut right now in Hollywood.
Why the fuck are they going for that haircut to be just... How does that represent a bad character? How does that represent an antagonist?
What about when she dies?
Does she... How? I never remember.
Like, she has this whole, like, I'm going to, like, change my whole...
Oh, yeah, she does.
And then just vaporized.
Just vaporized immediately. She has actually probably the best character development out of the lot, because she's the one who goes from bad to good, and she realizes the error of her ways. And then once that happens, they go, we don't need that type of great character development in this film. Get her the fuck out of here.
And then Kevin Hart yells about it, and it's like as if he's meant to care and like be heartbroken about it. They had one scene together, and she was knocked out for it. And Kevin Hart goes up to her and says, I'm sorry, and then walks off.
And there's only one bit of dialogue saying that they slept together, allegedly.
Yeah.
That's it.
The character we're referencing is Commander Knox, I think her name is, and that's played by Janina Gavanka.
Say that one more time.
Whatever. Janina fucking up my arntaf. And... Is there like a whole movie that we got cut out that we didn't know that they were friends or something? This is the sort of poor writing and plot narrative that this movie continually had over and over. Now, if we're going on to things that didn't make sense in this movie and things that we didn't like about this movie, there was a car chase scene in this movie that was entirely Gran Turismo CGI. I kid you not. It's okay in a movie if, like, obviously there's CGI. They weren't actually on a fucking planet called Pandora. We get that. But when you look at the cars and they're literally fucking cartoon cars that you can see are fake, you're like, what am I watching? The car looks, oh my God, it looks so bad. It looks so bad. Okay, if the scene went for 10 seconds, you'd be like, okay, fair enough. This scene went for fucking 5 minutes with like 30 cars and it looks shit.
6 pixels max is on each car. It's the worst thing you've ever seen.
I don't even know, like, at least fucking do like special effects where you have like actual miniature cars on a track and then you make them look bigger when you're like in post-production. You know how they do that with like the depth of field, playing tricks on your eyes, like how Tom Cruise looks like he's 6'2" next to Henry Cavill, who actually is 6'2" and Tom Cruise is 5'1". But no, they just CGI'd it with Time Crisis fucking 2 back in 2006.
I reckon it would have been a little bit easier on the audience to be watching this shit if they had some fucking actual good comedy in there. Because the only person that was doing that was Jack Black's character, the little
Claptrap.
Fucking show me your clap. That was about it.
And he was very, very funny. Some dialogue in the movie can be so bad, and then they just make really funny dialogue for Claptrap. This is one thing we'll give Eli Roth. Claptrap's sort of juxtaposition to Lilith's personality really worked well. Like the dialogue and the jokes that he said, and even like the way he sort of would call Cate Blanchett's characters certain things that just made you laugh. That was really good. But that's as far as the good dialogue or good writing went. I'm sorry, but that's it.
There's just one thing I have to say in this whole review. If one thing's going to stick with you throughout this whole film, Bobby Lee's beautiful goddamn character. He's the only little cameo that popped in here where I got excited and I thought, this is it. This is when the movie turns around. The movie's going to be good. He's in there for fucking 2 minutes. My boy Bobby Lee is cut out of it yet again from another movie. He is the main draw, I feel, to this.
If you know Bobby Lee, you know for a fact that this man was told he would have had half an hour, 25 minutes of screen time, and in the cutting room floor, 29.5 minutes of that went down and he only got the 10 seconds. What's actually interesting after Josh said that, I think what they could have done, if they had replaced Kevin Hart, if they had swapped Kevin Hart and Bobby Lee, I actually think this movie could have been really good. He would have been the perfect sort of comedic act. I know it would have been Jack Black supposed to be the comedic act in this movie, but he sort of would have been a pretty good opposite part of the group. But, you know, in hindsight's a good thing, I guess.
The whole movie to me was just boring. I got nothing out of this. It was literally completely wasted time for me to go see this film. I'd never played the games. I thought maybe this might get me into the games if I did watch it. And I thought, nope, if this is the movie they created after 3 years of production and fucking reshoots, I don't want to see any of this shit. I don't want to play any game that they've sold 200 fucking something million copies of.
That is a great point that Josh brings up there as well. If you're going to do a video game adaptation, you're probably going to want to walk away from it being like, I'd like to play the game or I'd like to be a part of the game. I do not give one single shit about Borderlands. I will never ever think about Borderlands ever again.
So as always, at the end of these reviews, we always give this a rating. I'm going to 2%. I don't want to give it anything. I don't want to give it anything. I was literally bored throughout this entire film. I didn't care for it. I don't care for you guys to go see it. I literally just skip this one.
Yeah, my rating it's low. Like, I'm not even going to bother giving it a rating because it doesn't really need one. I mean, the best way to describe it is it sort of felt like a TV movie. Question of the day: what video game would you like most next to see adapted?
Anyway, guys, peace. We out.
Peace.
And cut.